So on this lesson we will continue with arrays. Let's say we have a simple array, like let's start with const. I will name it my array equals square brackets, and let's put inside 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, if I console.log now my array and save, we're gonna see down in the console that we have 5 items inside, and it's the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I want to reverse it, there is an embedded tool. We can say my array dot reverse, and we open close brackets. So by saving now, we see that our array is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This tool is embedded in JavaScript, of course, but there is a common exercise to try and reverse the array without using this method. So we'll try to do that now. If you want, you can pause the video and try for yourself a little bit and unpause when you're ready to see the solution, and we'll do it together. We will create a function. Let's name it a reverse array, and inside we're gonna put an array to run. We'll create an empty array now. Let new array equals, and we'll have it empty, just square brackets. And now we'll create a for loop. Let's say for let I equals array dot length -1. Then we're gonna keep looping until I is larger or equal to 0, and we'll go I minus minus this time. Let's open brackets, and then we go new array dot push array I, and after that we go into console.log the new array, and down there we just have to run this function reverse array, and inside, because now we have a generic name as a parameter here, we have to put this existing array here, my array. So let's see what we did in here, because we wrote a lot of things and we didn't explain anything. So we let I equals array length -1. What does this mean? This means that now we have 5 items. So it's 5 minus 1, 4. Why we do this? Because the arrays start from 0. So even though the array length is 5, we want to target the last item is 5 minus 1. So we put here array I, and we get the 4th item. This way we make sure that we target the last item no matter how many items we have in the array, and then we will run until I goes down to 0. That's why we have minus minus. So we start from the last one, right now number 4, and then we go minus minus number 3, number 2, number 1, and number 0 item. And this way we go all the way down from the end until the start, and each one of these elements we push them inside this new array, and we have an array that starts from the last item and goes down to the first item. Let's press save, and indeed down here we see 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And even if we had more items here, 6, 7, 8, it always calculates the array length, right now is 8, -1. So it's the item number 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And by pressing save, we can see that it reversed the array no matter how many items it has inside. Of course, in your everyday life, you can just use the array.reverse and it's gonna work perfectly. But we try this as a test because maybe on an interview they will test you and this could be one of the questions that they ask you to do. And it's better to have these things in the back of your head solved at least once. Now let's create a new array, const numbers equals square brackets, and we'll put some random numbers inside, 5, 18, 24, 11, and 35. And I want you to build a function that calculates the sum of all the numbers we have inside the array. So it goes 5 plus 18 plus 24 plus 11 plus 35, and it gives us the sum towards the end in the console log down there. You can pause the video and try experimenting on your own, and then when you're ready, come back for the solution. We'll create a function. Let's name it array sum. Inside it's going to run an array, and we'll put a variable here, let sum equals 0. Then we'll go with a for loop for let I equals 0. It's going to run for I less than array dot length. And why we don't put equals here? Because the length again is 5. We'll have 5 numbers, but the individual items start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can run until 4. And this time we'll go classically I++. We open the brackets and we'll go, we've done this before. We know how it works. We just go sum plus equals, and then we'll go array. We open square brackets and we put just the I inside. So what does this mean? That for I equals 0, we'll have the first item, 5 plus equals the sum. So we got 5 here. Then we run again for I++ becomes 1. For the item number 1, it's 18. We go in the sum plus 18, and it loops until it gets here, and it just sums the whole thing. So in the end, we can just console.log the sum, and in the end, we just have to run the function array sum, and inside now it has just a generic parameter that says array. We can run the array numbers. If this thing is confusing you, imagine that we might have another array const named more numbers, and inside it has something different like 3, 6, 9, and 10, and we are free to run this function array sum with a different array inside, more numbers. Let's save, and now we have two results. One is the sum of the first array, and the second is the sum of the second array. And this is why in here we use a neutral parameter and we don't put directly the name of the array we want it to run. So you're free to choose what kind of array you want to put inside this function. Hopefully this is not that hard to comprehend. Let me know in the comments below if I passed this example fast or not. I think we're gonna be alright. So we're going to create a new array here. Let's name it const merged array equals. And now we're going to use a tool again from JavaScript. We put the name of the first array numbers dot concat, and it says here in the example down there combines two or more arrays. We open parentheses, and inside we put the name of the second array we want to combine. So more numbers, and of course we can console.log this merge array and save it to see what's happening. So we have indeed the whole first array and then the second array running after it. How can we sort this new array to have all the numbers sorted properly? So in the previous lesson we saw how to do dot sort in order to sort arrays that contain strings. And what's the problem with the arrays that have numbers inside? So if we try that right here and we say merge array equals merge array dot sort, of course if I try to run this we're gonna have an error because we have a constant here. It will not allow us to change it. So we'll do it let, and now we can see that it sorted the array, but something weird is happening. It's not actually sorted as we want it to be. So the 3 here should be first, and then the 5, 6, 9, but the problem is this function here is reading the array as it would be a string. So in the front it puts everything like alphabetical order. So the numbers that start with 1 they clump together, then the numbers that start with 2, then the numbers that start with 3, and blah blah blah. So we have a small problem here. When we want to sort arrays that have numbers inside, we have to treat them differently, and this is why I want to show you this method right here. We go merge the array dot sort, and inside this parenthesis we're gonna create a function. This function has two parameters, a and b. We go out there, we open curly brackets, and we say return a minus b. If we run this thing, now we see down there that all the numbers are sorted properly, but this doesn't make any sense when we see it. What does it mean? Nobody knows. So let's try to figure out. When you say function a b, it means that the array is taking two numbers a and b that are next to each other, and let's create a comment here. We have three options. The first option is a minus b, it's bigger than 0, and then a comes first. Second option, a minus b equals 0, and then nothing changes. And the third option is that a minus b is larger than 0, and in this case b comes first. So right here, if we have 3 and 6 next to each other, we do 3 minus 6 gives us minus 3. So the outcome is less than 0 and a comes first. So 3 stays there. If we go here and we do 24 minus 11 equals 13. So the outcome is larger than 0, and then b comes first. So 11 will swap places and will go in front of 24, and then 24 will go over there. And then this is like an algorithm that is running on the background again and again and again. It's swapping until it gives us this outcome down there, and everything is sorted like that. Hopefully we got an idea of how the algorithm works. And the thing is that this function right here, usually we don't write the whole thing like that. So whenever you use sort for numbers, most of the time we don't use the function like that. Let me copy this function down there. So we have a function a comma b, open brackets, return a minus b. How we write it is we use an arrow function and we phrase it like that. This syntax, you can use it in any function, but it's not beginner friendly. That's why we don't really use it in the beginning. So whatever function you have, you can skip writing function and you start immediately with a parenthesis. So go a comma b. Outside this parenthesis, because we skipped to write the word function, we put this sign equals and larger than, that is like an arrow. That's why we call this syntax arrow functions. And then we put what was inside. If inside the function you have only one line, you don't really need the brackets, you can delete them. So after the arrow, we only write a minus b and it will just return it and that's it. So all this equals that. Let's cut it and paste it right in here. We can delete this thing down there as well. And by saving, we see that everything works. And if I put here 1 and save again, the 1 will come first. I know it's kind of too much, but maybe we can practice arrow functions at some point again. I just want you to know this one because everybody that is using dot sort to sort arrays with numbers, they are using this syntax right here. And it's better to know already a little bit about what it means and why we use this syntax. I know arrow functions are not beginner friendly at all, but we can practice them together at some point. So another example I want us to try now that we are here is that maybe these two arrays have similar numbers. So maybe we have 5 here and maybe we have 3 here and 18 down there. So they have some common numbers, yeah? If I save now, we see down there that we have 1, 3 is twice, 5 is twice, 18 it's twice. I think you know what I'm gonna ask now. How can we get this new array that's merged right here and delete all the duplicates? If you feel like, you can pause the video and try to experiment about that a little bit. And when you come back, we're gonna do the solution together. Let's create a function here. I will name it delete duplicates and inside it's going to get an array. The first thing we're going to do is to create an empty array, const, and I'm gonna name it unique elements, and we just put empty square brackets because it's gonna be an empty array at the moment. Then what we have to do is we have to loop through each element of the input array. Input array is whatever we wanna use to enter this function, yeah? So create a loop for let I equals 0, I smaller than array dot length, and I plus plus. We open the brackets, and now we have to check if the unique elements array doesn't contain the current element. How are we gonna test that? We say if, we open brackets, and then we can say unique elements dot includes. This one, we used it on the previous lesson, so we already know it exists. And we say inside array square brackets I. So it's going to be testing the specific element each time it loops. Let's open the square brackets. So what we want to push in the new array is the ones that are not included in the array. So we go in the front and we put an exclamation point and we say that if the current element is not included in this array, then you go on and push it. Unique elements dot push. And inside, of course, we have to say that we push the array square brackets I, the current element. So if it's not included already, we include it, but if it is included, we don't do nothing. And if you see here that I have this one underlined with red, and here it's because I made a mistake earlier, and this parenthesis is closing right here. Now the underlines disappeared, and this is an indication that I had an error. If you didn't see the underline earlier, it's normal because it's very discrete, but as you code and you go through problem solving and debugging, your eye will get more experienced and you will be able to catch all these little underlines way faster and way earlier. So what is left to do here with this console log down there? We don't need it because we're gonna create a new one. So down there we can run delete duplicates function, and inside we can actually put the merged array, the one we had down there. Let's do that. So now let's see something else. If I try to console.log the unique elements array we have up here and save, I will get an error here that we actually don't have access to this array because it's inside the function. So we have two solutions here. One is to take the constant outside of the function and let the function run, and if we press save here we see it. The other solution is if we leave it inside, to take the console log and paste it right here after the for loop, and we execute here the console log inside the function, and if I save again, boom, we get the array that has 0 duplicates and it's also sorted. And let's see what's going to happen if we sort the merged array after we run the function that deletes the duplicates. Let's press save now, and we see that it's not actually sorted this time because the program reads like that, and it first deleted all the duplicates and console logged, and afterwards it sorted the array. So now this is not sorted yet. If I put it as before and I cut this one up there, it's reading, yeah, this one is not running yet because we just defined it here. So it's skipping the function, it's not running it yet. It's running this one, sorting, and then when we call the function, only then it actually starts running the function. So with functions, don't worry where you have them. I can even cut this and paste it on the bottom, and only when we call the function, it's gonna start running it. Let's press save, boom. So this lesson might be a little bit shorter than usual as the previous one, but I felt like if I put these two together in one lesson, it might just be too much for us. So I decided to put a space between them. Let me know in the comments below, what do you feel? If you can grasp all the information at once, or if you agree with breaking it in pieces. Of course, the most important thing you have to do is to not just play the video and watch it, but sit down and write things down, because only that way you're gonna get the experience and you're gonna get some troubleshooting and you're gonna write some errors at some point, and you will have to sit down and analyze everything. And only if you do the exercises, they stay with you like muscle memory. If you go to the gym and you watch everybody else doing exercises, your muscles are not gonna grow, are they? So this is the important thing. If you sit down and press play on a video and just watch it and have your coffee and smoke, nothing's gonna happen. You always have to sit down and line by line try it yourself. Press pause when we say to press pause and think for yourself, and only when you sit down and do these things you're gonna actually learn. If you just press play, nothing really is going to stay with you. Everything you saw, you're gonna forget it after 1 week if you don't sit down and write the code. So that's all for today. I'll see you guys next week.